What is up, everybody? Here we are again on the S10, and as I may have said before, we pretty much just got a few things left to do before we can start putting the engine in. One of those things that I just finished up was getting the steering rack in. So here you can see I've got the new steering rack in. I just put that that video should have come out recently, maybe a week ago or so. So got that in, and as you can see, there's no front tires on this bad boy yet because these are the original brake rotors that came with it. Bearings are still good and everything, but I'm going to upgrade to a different style, or a different, basically just upgrading to wilwood brakes. It'll have a different caliper, different rotor, and they're the street strip style. They're a little more oriented to high speeds, not this 1983 factory brake disc. So that is what I will be working on for now. Let me show you the parts. Here is the kit. It all pretty much comes together in this one box. Sorry, the bar's in the way, but it all comes in one convenient little package. I won't go through everything because there's a ton of stuff in here, but it comes with instructions and stuff. Very useful. They describe the whole process. Very easy to do if you read the instructions. The rotors, new rotors, these will, or the hubs, these will bolt to the rotors. Then we got some bolts for attaching these brackets. These are interesting because these brackets will actually go over your spindle. You actually cut off some of your factory spindle, the old brackets for the old caliper. You actually cut those away, leaving you, and I did that in a previous video before I put them back in because I knew this is what I was going to do. So I went ahead and did a little work early. So those are already cut off on my spindles. Then what you do is these are the dust guard bolt holes, and what you do is you drill and tap those out to I think it's a 3/8 hole. Yeah, 3/8 24, which is fine thread if you didn't know. And then so once you've drilled and tapped those dust cover bolts, then you could take these guys and bolt this right up to it, and then your caliper will bolt right up to that. And here is the caliper. Wilwood 4-piston 1/8 by 27 NPT. And then there's a bunch of other stuff in here that goes with it, like the other bracket, the brake pads. These probably have, I don't really know what those are. And then all you got to do is plumb your own lines, or if you have lines, you can adapt yours to fit with these calipers. But I plumbed my own. Here's the aftermarket manual brake cylinder. So I've already plumbed these for the most part. These are the rears, these are the fronts. The rears have line lock on them. You may have seen that video already, but basically, see here I have it running across this little the cross member here, and those are all 3/8 24, the standard brake fitting. And then those 3/8 by 24, I have adapters that'll go to -3 AN lines, and then those -3, I think they're 18-inch lines, and those will bridge the gap between the frame and the caliper, which will be out here, so that when it goes, when your suspension travels up and down, or when you turn like this, that hose will flex and take that movement. So that hose is actually what will bolt up with an adapter to that caliper. I think I've rambled on long enough here. I'll go ahead and get started. Probably take these calipers off first and then start drilling these holes out for the new brackets. So got the new bolt holes drilled and tapped. You can see, I don't know if you can see the threads in there very well, but they're there. Took a while, but that's this side done. I'll probably go ahead and finish up the other side and not film that because it took so long. So finish that real quick. So next step, got the other side done, is to take this caliper mounting bracket that'll go over spindle like that, and then it'll use those 3 bolt holes I just drilled with some bolts, these guys right here that come with the kit, and those will retain that plate. So this one, these two on the caliper side will have little spacers that are also in there. I don't know if you can see them or not. They'll have little spacers, and then this guy just gets a washer. Oop. So I'll go ahead and get that bolted on. Also, you use red Loctite on these guys when you tighten them down, because they're probably never coming out. So red Loctite, use the spacers and a washer, crank them down. There you go. All right, so I got the brackets bolted on up front, and of course it starts dumping rain outside. So next step, I'm gonna go ahead and build most of the brakes back here in the old S10 bed. We got our the hubs. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put these 1/2-inch wheel studs into the hubs, and then I'll take the rotors, which are up here, and the rotor adapter plates, and I'll bolt those together, and those get Loctited and torqued. These studs, they only get torqued, they don't get Loctited, because you might go back and forth, take those out someday, swap it to like if you have a 4.5. These hold 4 3/4 and 4.5 bolt patterns. They're Chevy and Ford bolt patterns. So you could do either one, which is kind of neat. So if you ever buy a Ford wheel or something, then you could potentially swap these studs out, and you wouldn't have to get a whole new hub here. You could just use the same one. But for now, I've got 4 3/4 Chevy pattern, so I'll go ahead and install them in these wider bolt holes, and then we'll mess with the bearings. All right, we got the wheel studs in the hubs. Looks awesome. Very nicely machined, super neat hubs. I wish you could see them in the daylight. Rain might have slowed down a little bit, but not gonna risk opening the garage door quite yet. Then we got the actual rotors together. The rotor adapter bolted to the rotor with Loctited and torqued. So those are all good to go, and those will sit on the back of these guys like that when this is all done. But before I do that, up next, got to cut out these. These are the larger bearings that come with the set. There will be 4 total, 2 inners, 2 outers. These larger ones are the inners because, as you know, the spindle is larger and then it gets thinner as it kind of cones down. So these will be those large inner ones that go towards the actual spindle itself. So these will be dropped in from the rear of this hub. So what I'm going to do is pack these with grease, drop them in here, probably put a little extra grease in this hub, and then I will throw the back little seal on that'll also kind of be a retainer for this guy. So got my high temperature grease. Let's get to it. Well, finally got the rear seals in. I ended up having to put them in the freezer, and then it was still a huge pain, but I guess they got good tolerance on them, so I guess that's a good thing. Next step, while they were in the freezer, I went ahead and packed the front bearings. So before I install those, I'll take those rotors now, and it's time to smack those rotors onto these bad boys like this, I believe. Check the instructions. Yep. So this dish right here will go forward, and they will bolt right like that. Perfect fit. And then all those bolts will be, again, red Loctite, and I think 44 foot-pounds, something like that. 45 foot-pounds. Obviously, that makes more sense. All right, get bolts out, and there's some freaking great. Hope I have that T fitting, whatever that'll be. All right, well, go ahead and get those installed. Exciting moment. The whole hubs here are completely assembled. Got that rear bearing in, rear seal, and then these the actual rotors are bolted onto the hubs. So now you can see I got these little wilwood end caps off. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take these up to the spindles, slide these on the spindles, and then these outer bearings, these are the smaller ones, which I said I already packed. Those will go in, it's kind of hard to see, but this inner race right here, so that'll slide on, the spindle will be sticking out, that inner race will go on, or inner bearing will go on that race, and then that spindle has a keyway type thing on it. This lock washer will slide on there, and then you take the factory nut, you just reuse factory nut, tighten that down until it inhibits the spinning of this, and then you come back off about a quarter turn. I guess it depends. Every manufacturer has a different recommendation. Just do your research before you put it together on what the company says. I'll probably read and see if they say something in their instructions. It doesn't look like they do, but I'll just make sure I'm doing the right thing. So that's what I'll do next. We got our rotors installed, attached to our spindles. Looks good, sealed up, filled with grease. Everything's in and Loctited. So next step is going to be to use these back two mounting bolts. Don't know if you can see them. And we're gonna go ahead and try and install our calipers. These bad boys right here, 4 piston. There is a bunch of shimming and stuff you got to do, so I'll probably get started. It might take a bit, but I'll just have the time lapse on. Hopefully it won't be too long. And I'll show you this side, since I've been showing you the driver's side the whole time. Show you the passenger. I got the driver's side here wrapped up as well. Pretty happy with it. Actually, I mean, very happy with it. It's an awesome braking system. All that's really left is to plumb from this little guy here, a little 1/8 NPT hole, up to our brake fittings on both sides. Really shouldn't be a big deal, shouldn't be that bad at all. But I'll take care of that real quick, so probably end the video off here. One thing I really like about this kit is that you can change the brake pads super fast. All you got to do is pull this cotter pin, and these brake pads just pop right out the top. You can push on them from the back or whatever, and they will slide right up the top, put the new ones right in, and slide that cotter pin back over. Super easy brake system. Very excited. All that's left, like I said, plumb it up and bleed it, get it back on the ground. And now that we got front brakes and suspension, steering, cage, seat, back half, fuel cell is in, most of the accessory electrics done, it's just engine harness and stuff. You know what that means? It means it's time for an engine. So I have an engine. If you've watched my videos, you know that. I have a ton of parts for it in the back here. So I will be assembling that dude and getting her stuck in here very soon, hopefully in the next couple weeks. So stick around. Hopefully it's about to get exciting here. If not, at least something will be happening. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. If you liked it, please like the video and leave a comment saying what you thought of the video, if it was good, if it was bad, whatever you want. And I will see you in the next one.